I'm going to take this time to welcome you to my channel. It's my first time making a video, so if you took the time to listen to this, I want to thank you. And if you can subscribe, like, and share. This channel is going to be kind of eclectic. I haven't kind of made up my mind yet exactly what I'm going to cover. But what I do know is that I've been called to do this. It is going to build. It is going to be empowering. I'm hoping to help someone. And yeah. So today, I'm discussing something very personal. And it's taken a lot of hard work to work through this. This is something that I've lived through. So I understand this subject very well. It's something called complex PTSD. And many people know complex PTSD by, you think about someone who's been to war and they've encountered some type of traumatic experience, and they can't get that situation out of their head because it affected them so deeply. You imagine getting someone, seeing someone's head, or someone being, but it affected them deeply. And therefore the brain goes into something called fight or flight mode. And it's like, I'm going to protect you from now on so that you never have to experience that again. And so that's what happened to me. No, I didn't go to war, but there were particular parts of my childhood which my brain has deemed I was at war and I was unprotected. Now, here's the thing. Let me just preface this by saying this. When you discuss things that have happened to you, there's always going to be someone offended. But here's the thing. I'm not doing this to put anyone on the spot or to hurt anyone, because the way I look at it is, I've learned to look at these people that did not protect me, that have hurt me, and that have left me vulnerable and did terrible things to me. I've looked at them as wounded children. They were not protected as a child. They, at some point in their childhood, were neglected. And yes, they had the opportunity to make different choices. They chose not to, but I choose to look at them as just wounded children. So yes, this is not to hurt anyone or place blame. That's not what I want to do. Or to open anyone's wounds, If your actions hurt you, I encourage you to go to the person, apologize. If you've done so, therapy. Or there's books. what is it called? EMDR treatment. There's all different type of treatments that you can do. But I love accountability. There's nothing that I've done that I would not take accountability for. Doesn't mean that everybody else will, but hey. Anyway, so let's move on from there. So, CPTSD is basically, I already explained it, but basically when you experience things, so in my case, we talked about the person who went to war, but then in my case, as a child, I was raped by my stepbrother who lived in a home with us. I don't remember exactly what was going on in his life. I'm pretty sure that maybe his mom had some type of drug problem or something like that. I don't know for sure. But I remember feeling really weird about it because, and I don't even remember how old I was. I want to say 12, but only because I've been saying 12 for so long, but I don't know for sure. I do remember I lived on Weber Street. And I remember it was around Christmas time. And I also remember having to tell my parents because I had went to school, and I told a friend of mine named Tivia. And Tivia had enough common sense to tell one of the administrators what happened. And then the administrator told me, you know, I'm going to give you the opportunity to go home and tell. And then if you don't, I'm going to have to talk to your parents. So that was part of my trauma. But that wasn't even the trauma, the rape. The trauma, I think, which affected me was how it was dealt with. When I came home from school, it was winter. I remember the snow, and in my head, I remember this very vividly. I was thinking to myself, I'm gonna say your son raped me to my stepfather, because I lived in a household where my mom was married to a man, my stepfather, and he had children. My brothers, Maurice and David, but he wasn't my father. And in my head as a child, I remember thinking to myself, I'm gonna say to him, your son raped me. And I felt so powerful on the way home. But then as I came up those stairs into the kitchen and my mother was cooking at the stove, I turned into like oh, sorry. But I did do it because I knew that, you know, the principal was gonna say something. So I did go to my stepfather, and I'll never forget that day because I went into the bedroom. The fan was in the window. It was going. He was laying in the bed. I feel like he was watching some type of sports or something. I don't know for sure, but I told him. And then when I told him, he called my stepbrother in the room. And then I remember him punching him and hitting him and stuff. But here's the thing. The stepbrother continued to live with us. I went to Children's Hospital. You know, they have to check your hymen. I went with my mother. And I was traumatized because I remember my mother smacking me because I told my stepfather instead of her. And that like really, and it made me like so just I didn't know how to feel, because there's these beautiful women that come into the hospital when a young person is raped. They come, they give you candy bars and things like that. And I remember they gave me a king size. I was like, oh, I get a king size Hershey bar. I can have that, or M&M's. I'll take a Hershey's bar. And they went to the vending machine to go get it, and she was like, how dare you tell him and not tell me? What the fuck? Yeah. So that traumatized me. And I can understand a mother wanting to know what's going on with her child. But if we don't have a relationship in the first place, I didn't understand why, you know, as a child, I wasn't thinking this, but as I've grown, this is what I thought. I don't remember having very deep conversations with my mom. I don't remember that. But, yeah, so that traumatized me. And then the fact that he continued to live with me, that traumatized me. So coming in from school and having to hear him in the front living room, that was traumatizing. Very traumatizing. And then I would go in my room, like, you know, and I would hear his foot move or hear him breathing. And I would have dreams, and that was very traumatizing to hear him still in the house and to think that I was going to walk to the bathroom, which is right across. And then during this time, my mother was also being abused by my stepfather. He was very violent and abusive. And my bedroom was directly next to hers. So I would hear him like choking her up against the wall, telling her she was a liar and beating her while I was laying there. You remember those little TVs that you hit the little button and it pops up? I had one of those, and it was black and white. I had one of those in my room. But that was traumatizing. And then he would beat me. And later on, I would find out that my stepfather would beat me because he said, I reminded him of my mother because I was a liar. And now I think about it because, yeah, definitely was a liar. I don't remember lying. However, I could see myself lying because I was scared. I was scared, you know? So, I don't know. From a young age, he scared me. One time I peed on myself because I wasn't doing the letter P in cursive correctly as a child. And he told me he was going to take those boxing gloves and punch me in my head. Or one time he made me wear a helmet in our Cutlass Sierra to the grocery store because he told me that's what dummies do. That's what dunce caps do. They wear helmets. So I had to go throughout the day in the car with my mother and him. It's interesting, my mom, she'll say, I didn't know he was doing these things. I wasn't there for it. To make yourself feel better, you do those things. And as an adult, you just say, oh, okay. Because it's not my job to, you know, go over a story that's in the past to make you feel better about what you were there for. So, it's not my, you know. But anyway, so as you can see, I understand what it is to have trauma as a young child, to experience things. There's so many different things that happened to me that I stayed in fear consistently, which today affects me in many different ways, and it could affect you as well. So here's some ways fear can evolve into post-traumatic stress disorder or CPTSD. So you have hypervigilance, meaning some moments can make you feel like things are almost like unreal. You feel like you're in a movie. Or you feel like you have difficulty trusting people. So for me, I am loved by people, right? But I don't know that I really, if you don't trust your mom, and your mom has done things to me, because there's been instances later in that very house on Weber Street. I dated a man who lived across the street. And, well, he didn't live across the street. I take that back. He was friends with neighbors who lived across the street. And we had neighbors named Shaky and Hateful. I'm not Shaky. Hateful, and I don't know her husband's name. His name was Shaky. Yeah. And some of this stuff will be wrong because I was young, but I do remember the things that have happened to me. And I don't remember specifics because that's what happens to you. That's another thing that happens with PTSD. You remember only the bad things. You don't remember really good things that happened to you. Your memory is terrible. But you know what happened. Maybe not the specifics, maybe not the actual date and time, but you know what happened to you because your brain is playing it so that this does not happen to you again. So anyway, I this particular day, I took our pit bull and walked around the corner, tied it to the fence, and left with this guy, Shaky, an older man, probably in his 40s. And I went to the park and I had sex with him. And I think I was in grammar school. I was in grammar school. I don't even think I was in 8th grade. Does that make him yeah? So, imagine him coming to my house also in the basement and me continuing to have sex. Because I had been raped and I don't know, I can't remember, and I have been to therapy, so, but I can't remember exactly the reason why children do this, but either you're going to become very sexually active or you don't want to be bothered with sex at all. And I think because I did not have a nurturing, loving father, I took to wanting to find the father in an older man and maybe have his, I really can't even tell you. Neither here nor there. The point is I continued to have sex with this man and my mother left my stepfather for him. Triggering. Very triggering. So that put me in a space where, and then when she left him, for him, for the man I was sleeping with, Shaky, she brought him and his family up to the hospital when I was pregnant with my son. Also, had him in the house, and she knew. We'll leave it there. And this is not to hurt you, Mom. I'm sure you'll see this, or whoever else. It's not to hurt anyone. But it's just to let you know that I understand trauma. I understand trauma. And here's the thing. You cannot always look at a person and say, oh, she's so put together. She has her makeup done. She has her hair done. Oh, you know, you never know what a person is going through. You never know. But I do know that when I was in high school, they did look back at me and they probably was like, and they knew I was going through something because there was a rumor at one time that my oldest son, Malachi, there was like a rumor that his father, my mother slept with his father. So one of them girls that I must have been talking, I don't know. But that wasn't true. Absolutely not. But it was even worse. My mother left my stepfather for a guy that I had been sleeping with. And she would later say that it wasn't true, but I found letters in her drawer, which I gave to my grandmother and other family members, and we read them and things like that. And I never, we'll give. And then also one day, she had come back to Buffalo after I had got pregnant. And I was in high school by this time. And she moved on Statler Street. Shaky and his friend came over to her house. And I couldn't believe that she had this man in the house. Now, I don't know if this was before the time where my stepfather, because now the courts had split us up. Now get this is crazy. For my stepfather to have been so violent and abusive, and there's definitely court documents to show that the police were in and out and CPS was in and out of our household. My brothers went to go live with my stepfather. And we'll talk about CPS another time because that was just disgusting to me. Like, whoa. But this particular day, I had to go stay with my mom And I don't remember if it was, so my mother had took my brothers to the beach, and my stepfather wound up beating Shaky, hitting him in the head with a, what's those things that you put on a car when you drive in back in the day? It was, you put it on the thing like this, and then you lock it. You put it in the comment. I don't know what it is, but yeah, so I don't know if it was before then or after, but this particular day we were on Statler Street, and I come out the room and imagine my mom, Shaky, and his friends. I look at him like a flunky guy. He just was like kind of with him, sort of. Not the guy who lived across the street from us on Weber. Well, anyway, I don't remember what words or if it was I know that I was angry, and I left out the house and was leaving because, like, are you fucking kidding me? And guess who comes behind me? They left my mother's house and they followed me. Shaky. Come on, baby. Come on, get in the car with daddy. Come on, baby. Yeah. While I'm running away, he trailed behind me in his blue Geo Metro. He had like a very like flashy Geo Metro. But yeah. And I wound up running away to the guy named Amir's house. I'll never forget that day. Anyway, so it's just very sad, those memories. And because of that, trusting people, very hard. Very hard. Very hard. So if you can't trust your mom, you know, how could you trust a female who says, I'm your friend? Or a teacher, or if you find someone that you can trust, you overly trust them. And then you become a people pleaser. You know, and recently, you know how they do the TikTok University? And there was a guy on there, and he had me down pat. All these years of doing therapy, and he had me down pat. You can either be a people pleaser or with something else that he said, people pleaser or egotistical. But I was a little both, led by ego as well as definitely a people pleaser. Oh, can I, you know, whatever. Let me be nice. Let me overly be nice, you know. But I had my moments of just tearing the house down, you know. But anyway, so CPTSD, hypervigilance, difficulty trusting people, negative view of yourself or the world, nightmares or insomnia, flashbacks, disassociation, anxiety, depression, anger, occasional self-destructive behavior, and avoidance. Anxious attachment. So when you go into dating, maybe you're anxious. I need to feel like I'm loved. So those are some of the things, but not to go on forever, which I've already done. I wanted to read something that I got from Dr. Dwayne Dyer. Now, imagine this. The very person who put me in the situation to, I don't really know how to think of it, but the very person who allowed me to be inflicted with this pain bought me this book. But it's a beautiful book. It's, you can see it's old. Dr. Wayne Dyer's 10 Secrets for Success and Inner Peace. I want to read you something. If you're facing PTSD, you are not alone, and you can heal. You are not alone. You can heal, and you are worthy of a healthy relationship, a healthy life, and I wish that for you. And hopefully you stick on my channel and we can just, you know, flourish together. But here's the here's what I loved for today. Again, Dr. Wayne Dyer's 10 Secrets for Success and Inner Peace. I recommend that you find a way to transform your personal history and remind yourself as you do that you're transforming any and all beliefs that you've used as labels or indicators of your limitations. Replace all that with a knowing that you're not what you've done, what you've been, and how others have taught you, or what has been done to you. You're a part of the beloved, connected always to your source, whatever your source is, and therefore connected to the unlimited power of the beloved. Your past history and all of your hurts are no longer here in your physical reality. Don't allow them to be here in your mind, muddying your present moments. Your life is like a play with several acts. Some of the characters who enter have short roles to play, others much larger. Some are villains and others are good guys, but all of them are necessary. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the play. Embrace them all and move on to the next act. You are not your trauma. I just love that because you don't have to continue to be, I hate when people say, woe is me. Well, shit. Woe is me, motherfucker. It's like, I faced that. I went through that. Look who I am now. Not if you're saying it in that sense, but you don't have to continue to be a sad child. You have the opportunity every day when you wake up to be a healthier person. There are steps that you can take to be a better you, to be a healthier you. And yes, you went through these things, and no one, even the sad person who hates what they allowed you to go through, the sad person who hate for you to open up your mouth, because that's another thing that happens to you. You become scared. Not me, I'm free. And it feels good. You become free. But therapy is very important. I had a beautiful therapist. Oh, she was so wonderful. She was so wonderful. And I wish I would have saw her. Now, I had several therapists, but I wish I would have met her before I was married. That would have saved me a lot of heartache. Yeah. But anyway, you're not your trauma. There's one tarot reader, Chosen 144. I love him. But he basically offers this service where he takes people, he does like a shadow work where he teaches truth, change lives. And basically he takes people to the place where they had the trauma at. And he has them physically or mentally go to that specific place, and where you're triggered, wherever those emotions are the highest point, you would go there and clear it, face those feelings right at that physical spot. And even if you can't get to the spot, you can do it in your head. You can just see yourself at that location and realize that was then. Forgive the persons, forgive the places, forgive the things, forgive the people who allowed it, forgive the people who didn't notice. Face the pain and forgive. And then he says to see them all as wounded children, including yourself, right? Because we are all wounded children. And don't think that who a person was back then, they are today. Because haven't you grown? I've grown. But anyway, so I hope that you've taken from this that you do not have to be stuck. You have the opportunity to become healthy, and just, you don't have to be stuck in your past. So I'm going to end with some affirmations, because that's how I live my life. I do affirmations and manifest. And here are some manifestations or affirmations that you can affirm daily. My life is more than trauma. I see improvement daily. I'm so happy. I'm so positive. I release anyone's opinion of me. I deserve to take up space. I am brave. I am resilient. In fact, my resilience knows no bounds. My strength sometimes scares the shit out of me. My past only gives me character and originality. I maintain healthy, fulfilling relationships. And when something doesn't serve me, I move on. I value myself. I am healed and healing more day to day. These are things that you can tell yourself on a daily basis. Wake up and say them. I am healing. I am healed. I value myself. My life is more than the trauma that I dealt with. I see improvements daily. I release people's opinions of me. So I hope this was helpful to someone out there, and that is my hope. It's therapeutic for me. But not even just that. It's my hope, genuinely. I get an intrinsic feeling from helping people. So I'm hoping my story can help you. You're not alone. You're not alone.